Hello and welcome to this episode of RPGGamer Top 5s. And as part of our series on the top RPGs on each system, today we're going to be doing the top 5 RPGs on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Often called the Super Nintendo, the Super NES, the SNES, or Snes, it was released in 1990 by the Nintendo Corporation of Japan, a sequel to its incredibly popular NES. But it didn't manage to eclipse its ancestor, selling only 49 million consoles compared to the 61 million of the NES. It was a 16-bit console running at 3.58 Megahertz, leaning heavily on its custom chips to provide a 256-color display and 8 voice audio. On release, the showstopping effect was its Mode 7 graphics, which allowed it to move a background around in a semi-3D effect, which was utilised in the game F-Zero and launched the Mario Kart series of games. Although a Japanese console, the SNES wasn't overwhelmed with RPGs, with action games far more common, with platformers, shoot-em-ups, beat-em-ups being those the best remembered games on the platform. At the time, RPGs weren't hugely popular in the UK where I'm based, and the few I managed to get my hands on aren't perhaps the very best that were released. But amongst the swarm of Super Marios, Street Fighters and Donkey Kongs, these were the RPGs I liked best on the SNES. So, as always, on with the countdown. At number 5, The Secret of Evermore by Square in 1995. Playing as a boy and a shape-shifting dog who are teleported to the fantasy world of Evermore, the player guides both through the separate realms which resemble different time periods: Prehistoria, Antiqua, Gothica, and into the future with Omnitopia. The only game Square ever developed in North America, it was criticised for being fairly derivative of The Secret of Mana, and not living up to expectations. But to my Western sensibilities, it felt more approachable than many JRPGs. At number 4, Harvest Moon by Amcus in 1996. A game where you must repair and maintain your rundown farm sounds more like Farmville than an RPG, but Harvest Moon puts you in that role, and much more, interacting with the townsfolk and finding the love of your life. But the clock is ticking, as you only have 2.5 years to turn things around. Harvest Moon's 16-bit graphics are still gorgeous to behold, and playing through a game where you don't have to kill everything, but it's still a challenge, is a different pace, and one that's a fun place to dip into from time to time. And at number 3, the second game from Square in this list, The Secret of Mana by Square in 1993. A top-down perspective RPG, as so many on the SNES were, The Secret of Mana puts you into a high fantasy world of sprites and sorcerers. Playing as a young boy setting off for adventure from his village, this leads on to having to defeat the evil sorcerer Thanatos and save the kingdom. With a massively atmospheric world, which is enhanced by gorgeous graphics and beautiful music, you really feel a connection with the game, which helps the player to ignore the flaws which its troubled development led to, such as the slightly buggy and annoying combat. A recent remake for the PC and PlayStation 4 has been released, allowing modern players to experience this classic. And number 2, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past by Nintendo in 1991. Okay, it's an action-adventure, but slashing monsters with swords, questing through dungeons and casting magic spells sounds like an RPG to me, so I'm including it. A Link to the Past is an all-time classic from beginning to end, creating a memorable adventure through amazing graphics and music. From the opening moments, with Link venturing outside of his cabin at night during a storm, with lightning flashes and heavy rain all around, the game draws you in, and is a miracle of emerging gameplay, where new items and skills can open up areas already explored, allowing the game area to expand and expand. Even when you've fully explored the map, there's the Dark World to explore, and by warping between the two worlds, yet more areas to explore are revealed. Each discovery feels like a triumph, and while not massively challenging, the game makes you earn each victory, by learning more and more about the attack patterns and weaknesses of every enemy. My saddest memory of A Link to the Past is that shortly after reaching the final dungeon, I purchased my N64, and Ocarina of Time consumed my life, meaning I never completed this game. Notable mention, Final Fantasy VI, by Square in 1994. Considered by many to be the best RPG of all time, I have to admit this was one I never played. Set in a steampunk-influenced world, Final Fantasy VI has many of the elements that have continued throughout the series, with turn-based combat looking extremely similar to the later games. And at number 1, Shadowrun by Beam Software in 1993. Now this is probably a controversial choice, as it wasn't particularly well received at release, but considered by many to be ahead of its time. Shadowrun is based on the tabletop RPG of the same name, and while it breaks a few of the rules of that universe to tell a story, for example, you're a mage and a decker at the same time, something possible in the RPG but fairly unlikely, Shadowrun tells a compelling tale, has great action and stunning graphics and music. Awakening in the mortuary, Jake Armitage finds he has been saved from death by a fox spirit and must investigate his own murder. Hiring other Shadowrunners, learning magic, buying weapons, and becoming powerful enough to challenge a dragon and destroy a malevolent artificial intelligence to bring a corporation to its knees. I've got a lot of time invested in the Shadowrun RPG and its world, which may lead to me loving this game more than it deserves. But it seems I may not be the only one, as a series of sequels have been successfully kickstarted, with Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall, and Shadowrun Hong Kong, all of which I've played through multiple times and highly recommend. So, what do you think? Any ones we missed? Any favourites you'd like to suggest to us? Let us know in either the comments or by getting in touch with us through email or through the website. So, as always, many thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and we'll catch you later. Bye.